Sometimes, life hides its lessons inside tears. This is the story of a proud young man who mocked a girl because she limped, not knowing that one day the same girl would hold his life in her hands. Sit back, smash the subscribe button, because this one will touch your heart. Listen well. It all began one hot afternoon in Surulere, Lagos. The streets were noisy, buses honking, hawkers shouting, "Pure water! Gala! Gala!" And the sun was beating down like it had a grudge with the earth. Among the crowd was a young man named Femi Fineboy, tall, dark, smooth talker. He worked as a delivery driver for a logistics company, and if you saw the way he walked, you'd think the world belonged to him. But what Femi carried inside him was worse than any sickness pride. He mocked people who didn't dress well, looked down on those who struggled, and found joy in making others feel small. That day, as Femi parked his van near Ojuelba Bridge, he saw a young woman crossing the road, slowly, carefully, her right leg dragging a bit. Her name was Adaeze. She was carrying a small cooler filled with zobo, trying to sell and make a little living. Femi took one look at her and laughed. "See, as she dey waka like tortoise," he whispered to his friend Kunle. "How she wan take sell zobo with that leg." He laughed so loud that Adaeze stopped. She looked at him, not with anger, but with a calm that pierced the soul. "Brother," she said quietly, "your legs are fine. Use them to walk with pride, not to crush people." Then she turned and continued limping away. Femi just hissed and said, "Na joke I dey joke," not knowing that heaven had taken note of his words. Days passed, weeks rolled into months, and Femi kept seeing her at the same bus stop. Always smiling, always polite. Rain or sun, she was there selling her zobo. One day, his company van broke down by the roadside. He struggled to push it, sweating and frustrated, when a gentle voice said, "Oga, let me call Vulcanizer for you." He turned. It was Adaeze, the same girl he mocked. He stared at her limp and said, "You, with your leg?" She smiled. "My leg doesn't stop my mouth from helping." Within minutes, she had found a mechanic. When Femi tried to give her money, she refused. "I don't help for money. Maybe tomorrow, someone will help me too." Then she walked away, slow but sure. That night, Femi lay awake, replaying her words, but pride still whispered, "Forget it. She's just a girl." Life moved on, and one by one, Femi's blessings started slipping away. He lost his job after an accident damaged company goods. His girlfriend left him. His friends disappeared. In just a few months, the big boy became a nobody. One evening, he sat outside his compound, broke, hungry, and tired of life. And just like Destiny's whisper, Adaeze appeared again, carrying her cooler. "Good evening, sir," she greeted. "You look tired. Have you eaten?" Before he could answer, she opened her cooler, poured him a cup of zobo, and said, "Take, this one is free." He drank slowly, and the cold sweetness calmed him. He looked at her limp, then at her smile. "How do you still smile?" he asked. She laughed softly and said words that would later change his life forever. "Because life is still beautiful, even when it limps." Femi looked away, ashamed, but something inside him broke. That day, the wall of pride started to crack. Years passed. Femi finally got a new job as a transport manager in a private hospital. He was trying to rebuild his life when fate decided to complete its lesson. One stormy evening, a tanker lost control on the expressway and hit a Danfo bus. Femi was among those rushed to the hospital, the same hospital where Adaeze was now a trainee nurse. He had lost a lot of blood, and the doctor said he needed an urgent transfusion, but Femi's blood type was rare O negative, and there was no donor. As his life slowly slipped away, nurses ran helter-skelter. Then a calm voice from the back said, "Doctor, I'm O negative. Take mine." They turned. It was Adaeze. The doctor asked, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes. He once mocked me, but I won't let him die for it." The doctor looked at her in surprise. "You know him?" "Yes," she replied. "He taught me forgiveness without knowing it." Within minutes, her blood was flowing into his veins. While he lay unconscious, Her kindness was saving the same man who once laughed at her limp. When Femi woke up 2 days later, the doctor smiled and said, "You're lucky. Someone donated blood for you." He asked, "Who?" And when the door opened, he froze. Standing there, dressed in her nurse uniform, was Adaeze. He couldn't speak. Tears filled his eyes. "You?" he whispered. She smiled gently. "Yes, the same girl you once mocked. But I don't hold it against you. Rest now. That's all that matters." When she turned to leave, he called her name softly. "Adaeze, I'm sorry." She looked back and said, "Sometimes God lets people hurt us so they can remember what healing feels like." Then she walked away, and Femi broke down, crying like a child. After he recovered, Femi visited Adaeze and her mother with fruits and gratitude. "I came to thank you properly," he said, "and to apologize for my foolishness." Her mother smiled and said, "My son, forgiveness is sweeter than revenge." That day, Femi promised himself to change. He started volunteering at the hospital's outreach programs, helping disabled children with transport. He began telling people, never mock another person's struggle. Tomorrow, their strength might save your life. Months passed, and his friendship with Adaeze grew. He helped her open a small health shop called Adaeze Care Corner, where she sold first aid kits and drinks. Slowly, what began as friendship turned into something deeper. They laughed often, shared stories, and supported each other. Femi would say, "You gave me blood, but you also gave me a new heart." One Sunday, during a charity outreach, they stood side by side, handing out supplies to the poor. Adaeze smiled and said, "See, even your pride has learned to walk, maybe with a little limp, but it's walking." They both laughed, and Femi turned to the crowd and said, "My people, I was blind, not in my eyes, but in my heart. I mocked what I didn't understand, but mercy found me through the same person I laughed at." Never look down on anyone, because the ground you stand on today might be the floor where you'll need help tomorrow. Today, Femi and Adaeze run a foundation called Life Still Beautiful, helping people living with disabilities across Nigeria. Their story reminds us that kindness is never weakness, and forgiveness can rewrite even the worst mistakes. Let's know your thoughts in the comments if this story touched your heart.